Veteran Democratic Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland, the outgoing chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, says he has serious concerns about President-elect Trump's picks for national security positions. The Maryland senator is leaving Congress after more than a half-century in public service. I spoke with him yesterday in the historic Senate Foreign Relations Committee rooms at the Capitol about the president-elect, those drones, and Elon Musk. Let's talk about some of the national security challenges right now. The drones. Are you persuaded from the briefings you've had that there is no foreign adversary, no threat to national security from the drones that people are citing all over the country, particularly here in the Northeast?
There are millions of drones that are around, and that they're owned by all different types of entities. And we have to get a better handle as to how drone technology is being utilized. And we know that our adversaries could take advantage of an open system we have here in the United States. So it does scream at us that we have to do more to protect our national security. But at this moment, we have no credible information that there's a foreign threat.
I want to ask you about Salt Typhoon, because national security experts, including Mayorkas, on this program yesterday, said that this is a real national security threat.
Well, first of all, it is a major security threat. Secondly, I think we have an idea of the vulnerability of our system and how China was able to get into our telecommunication systems.
But we can't stop it. We can't get them out.
We can stop it, but it would take a tremendous amount of cost and effort. We can also monitor it and know what they're doing, and we can also prevent it from being used for mal purposes. But there's a vulnerability here, there's no question.
And what about national security? What about intelligence, which has been reported by the New York Times and not denied, that they've actually been able to get phone numbers to collect Chinese intelligence assets across the United States, compromising our ability to do counterintelligence?
That information is really being pursued actively by our intelligence community. But you raise a very good point. I mean, this is an ongoing threat. It's not over yet. They still have the capacity to intercept communications. It's not just verbal communications, it's also our texts and things like that that can be very embarrassing, it can be used for nefarious reasons, and it can compromise our own investigations.
Now, I've covered a lot of transitions, and I've never seen a transition where a president-elect is actively involved in foreign policy.
At times, that can be very upsetting and very damaging to what we're trying to do as a nation. We only have one president at a time. It can be confusing, and it can compromise our effectiveness for national security policies. But I don't think any of us are going to change Donald Trump.
What are your concerns about some of the potential choices for national security positions?
I must tell you, I look at the background of a lot of the individuals that the president-elect has nominated, and I have serious concerns as to whether they're the right person for where they've been nominated for. I mean, you want somebody who's going to be responsible for the intelligence of this country, that has a confidence in keeping that intelligence for our use and not for other countries' use.
You're concerned about Tulsi Gabbard's comments in the past about Vladimir Putin and Bashar al-Assad?
Absolutely, I'm concerned about that. But let the nominating process go forward. But I'm very concerned about that. And I could go down the list of President Trump's nominees. Many of them have done things that are inconsistent with, as I see it, the public responsibility of the position the person's nominated for.
Such as Pete Hegseth?
Well, that's a concern. Certainly, Robert Kennedy Jr. is a concern. I want someone who believes in public health and good science as the head of our health department.
And what about Kash Patel? And he's written a book with more than 60 people whom he says should be prosecuted.
The weaponizing of the Justice Department would be outrageous. And use of the FBI or the Justice Department is wrong. So these are issues that have me gravely concerned.
I want to ask you about Elon Musk, because he is at Mar-a-Lago. He's in on meetings with foreign leaders. He was in the phone call with Zelensky and other foreign leaders.
Well, I think he has incredible conflicts. His association with the president-elect has already profited him as far as his personal assets are concerned.
Do you see a foreign policy issue with Elon Musk participating with foreign leaders when he has business with our government, with these governments, big business in China, business with, and relationship, he has a past relationship with Putin.
Well, I want a person representing America on foreign policy that understands that our foreign policies is based on our values. That's what makes America the strong nation it is. I don't want a transactional person who's going into a country to see if he can make a deal.
It sounds like you're describing the person the American people elected.
Let me say a positive note on Marco Rubio. I know Marco Rubio well. I know how he feels about American values. That's who I want talking to our foreign leaders, not Mr. Musk.
Do you have concerns about Ukraine getting pressured too much to make territorial concessions to Vladimir Putin?
It's now up to President Zelensky to tell us what is the off-ramp so we can end the act of war, and what type of security commitments does he need in order to move to that point. Russia will not win this war. Russia cannot win this war. And Mr. Putin should be held accountable for the tragedies he's created.
What are you proudest of?
I'm proud of the way I do business. I listen to people. I try to find a broad consensus. I believe in civility. I believe we can have differences without being nasty to each other.
As a Washington resident and a sports fan, can I thank you for a compromise that's in the continuing resolution that might bring football back to D.C.?
And we recognize the attachment of the Commanders to D.C. By the way, they have a pretty good team this year.
Yes, we do, and getting better.
We might have a disagreement if the Ravens have the Commanders for the Super Bowl. We might have a different view there also.